Hello. Um, Been minutes to put out a video. Kind of wanted to share something kind of funny. First, this shirt. All lives matter. This is a factual statement. Everything that is alive is made of matter. Uh, I actually got in trouble for this one because it was too political. Because it was apolitical. Um, yeah, that's kind of the story of my life right now. So I'm going to give you the gift of, um, I guess, seeing signs. um, Eventually, I'll get down to show you guys a prophecy, and I mean that. How to turn all human behavior into probabilistic patterns that you can then project over time once you know the people you're dealing with. But right now, we'll start with counting since we seem to be having a problem. So when we start dealing with religious materials, realize that that was the central repository for all knowledge for humanity for ages untold. And so you're going to have people who are embedding knowledge in there across generations for future generations. And when you start looking at it from that perspective, you start pulling out some interesting things. This one, I'm going to start with seeing the unseen, how to go accountant. So we're going to start with the first measure, presence and absence. And I'm going to show you something funny. So anytime we measure something, we dichotomize it. Is it there or is it not? That's the first thing is presence for anything. Which is funny because those whole religious materials are all talking about some type of external presence that's guiding us. Everyone's looking for big booming sky voice. It's like you haven't seen the sun out there, have you? I mean, there's a whole lot of light shining everywhere. It's blinding me at times, but that's a different sensory input. I guess people don't know how to understand that they see by light across time, but maybe that's just me. So 0 and 1, present or absent. The first thing you need to realize is that between our understanding of reality and us ourselves, things are inverted. I don't have to point out the fact that the eye itself physically flips the image as it goes into and hits your retina. It's your mind that reorients it in the correct position. Otherwise, we'd be seeing everything upside down. And from that perspective, presence or absence, sometimes those things are backwards, right? So if you're going to take those things and apply them to the physical realm, here's what you end up with. And when I say physical realm, I am talking physics. You're going to end up with, we'll make them larger so it's very easy to see. So you got 0 and 1. 1 is forgive my drawing. I'm not much of an artist right now. 1 is something that has an internal force that's moving outward. So you got all of that internal force is coming out. What is that? That looks like the sun. The other one, that is when all of your sides align and they do that. They collapse down. Well, we're going to say 1. It's really a singularity. It would be a dot if you're looking at it this way. That creates a singularity. There's a little bit of warp into that, though, when you look at that. And so what we see is those black hole things. The absence of matter, because it's too real, too heavy, and it falls through our sense of reality. Right? That's sort of like saying that the different conceptions for people over time mirror different populations over time mirror what we find in mathematics from a certain point of view. My favorite being the Greek and Roman seamstresses, the fates of time, right? Energy equals mass times the constant squared. It's like whenever you have something squared, you have a growth like that, right? But realize that that's the same thing, just kind of folds off over itself, keeps multiplying. Eventually, that's a full circle kind of thing. In terms of math, it'll do this, but realize what you're doing there is you're turning the speed of light times itself. And so what you end up with is, we'll say, 2 by 2. Well, that's because light's a line, distance kind of thing. It's not a particle or wave. It's the distance you're dealing with and the speed. I use 2 there because I could use 1 just the same, but it doesn't change anything. That's a 2 by 2, right? We have 2 things interacting. That looks a little bit like we're on a little patch of textile, right? Because that's a good way to understand all of the universes and confined within those boundaries, except for everything that's coming in and going out, creates mass, energy, all that stuff. Also, if you turn it this way, what are we dealing with? If we take this shape and interact it with itself a few times and try to build something from it, you end up with pyramid. Start dealing with pyramids across humanity. What's kind of funny to see is you go to ancient Egypt, you'll see one with 3 sides. Because when you get down to 3 is whenever you get stability, right? Anytime you dichotomize something, you've got 2 sides. You need that third point because, well, if you're going to deal with physical reality, the actual absence of nothing is nothing. The presence of something, singularity. That's 1 dimension. 2 dimensions. That line. You get that third point, you can take that line, and now you can do something where you can measure stuff 2-dimensionally, right? So you can start measuring things. That 3 dimensions, it's got a little bend to it. Now you're starting to see the 3-dimensional reality that we have as the 4th dimension, time. I also find it funny because if you look at pyramids on the other side of the world where we do not recognize much in the way of technological advancements, you'll find ziggurats. Same design, but instead of the smooth 3 sides and that uniformity and authority, a bit more room and a bit more stairs stepped if you're trying to ascend to heaven, kind of thing. Literally the story that people have been abstractly, repetitively telling themselves over and over and over again. And it's all counting. Sort of like whenever so forth, that 2 by 2 thing in the arc is probably two Punnett squares, where you take 2 reproductive units together, you do it twice to represent how much, the different types of animal that you have. For example, if you have, I have a sheep that grows white fur or white fur. A white coat, and I have a sheep that grows a black coat. Those are your divisions here. I'm going to want 2 black sheep and I'm going to want 2 white sheep. Why? So I can crossbreed all of them because it gives me a lot more opportunity to create a lot more things rather than just a singular reproductive unit. You get a couple in there, you can actually create some stability. But even with that, if you're going and looking at it in terms of a Punnett square, your heritability, you end up with x, 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 y, x, y, and x, x. 50% chance of being boy or girl, right? That's what it always is. Also, if you stop and think about humanity, individuality is real. However, we're not fully human unless we're able to reproduce. And so the way that we look at humanity is individualized. The way we look at organisms, individual reproductive units, but realize that you're not actually complete unless you're bound to that other one. That's part of how life continues on. The divergence and reconvergence, and then emergence of another thing. It's the same 3-step process. Diverge, converge, emerge. What happens when an immovable object meets an unstoppable force? Emergence of something new. You start dealing with counting. By the time you get off to the 2 by 2, realize that, okay, you should have already mastered, is something there or not? Once you know that it's there, you can start counting. You can add, maybe subtract. That's a different movement inside your mind. By the time you get to 2 by 2, you need to be doing both multiplication and logarithms. 2 by 2 is that squared relationship. Once you understand logarithms, you can understand how things grow, because all things can grow in that fashion. They also reduce themselves down through reproduction. And so that is the flow. Converge, diverge, converge, emerge. So it's that same wave pattern in humanity over time. And so much so that this is how sociologists measure human behavior. Any statistician does. You start looking at the population. It sets up a distribution. It takes the shape of a hill. Within this hill, you have your average. Your ideal, I guess, is one way to look at it. This is your measure for whatever this thing actually should be, right? Then you have +1 and -1 standard deviation. So if I look at all the range of human behavior, I can put 34% here, 34% here. Right? So now I'm talking more than 2/3. I can put another percentage here, and so by the time you cover this whole range right here, you're talking 99% of the population, basically. Within here, you're talking about 2/3 of the population. So this is how you chart how people are doing on scale over time. And that subconscious factor that's buried deep within all of you and all of us. There's a few different ways to look at this thing. I'm going to ignore the people at the base of the hill. I'm going to look at the ones they put up on the hill. Know that story, don't you? We did that one in physical reality. We followed that story so closely that that's what we did. Too close to that ideal, too good. We need to stop that one. All right. You want to see another one? Another hill. Huh. Yeah, I have a turtle swimming across the back of time. Again, it's an abstraction for herd behaviors and how they move over time. Heard that one before. I could also do it this way. Ready? Okay. Look at that thing again. Now I'm going to show an image of, hey, look, it's St. Peter's Gate. Same thing. Opening of a door and its hinges. Here's another one. This is the one that helped me see it a little bit clearer. A green hill with a tree on it. That one I had on a near-death experience. A couple times. A lot of people get that one. There's actually only a few different types of near-death experiences. And at some point I'm going to sit down and study those, classify those, and kind of interpret it for people. But this is what you see when you go under. Sometimes. Meaning it's within you. Right? That also overlaps with that same legend. If you want to be a part of the tree of life and continue on and stay attached to this moving hill, turtles back across time, whatever, you stay close to that tree. That's your family tree. So, by the time you deal with it, what you end up with is some understanding of yourself or others, some understanding of people across time. What I see is once you can understand that to some degree and see others and how your actions interact with one another, you learn the lesser and the greater of things, right? Always be humble, and that if that which is lesser rises up to the point in time that it's debatable with that which is greater, the lesser's already won because it came from within. Just like the lessons from the sun, just like the light from the sun. All things kind of tend to run in a competitive nature. As they do, that competition is good for both. But to the victor go the spoils. What happens if you're the victor, but everyone takes your spoils? You didn't want to be spoiled. Yeah. So, the funniest thing to me, counting. That chief deity and creator, he's not the one you count on, he's the one you count with. He's the one who taught you how to count. On the other side of the spectrum, there's all that irrational counting that takes place, where people take all of their efforts to obscure whatever to get what it is that they want. My favorite representation of that you will see in Egypt with a god by the name of this. If you look it up, it's a crocodile chimera. It's a female god that was in the middle of the river Nile. It would eat people. And so if you stop and you think about it from those people's perspectives, here's what they were trying to understand. It's like, the Nile is the source of all life. as you're going out there to get your water or your food, that kind of stuff, to reinvest in the waters of life. There's dangers there. That goddammit is a woman that will pop up and eat you. That's literally like embedded into that. You still have to go to those waters anyway. If you look at the way that things move on the surface of the water, you can tell what lies beneath. It's like that struggle to find truth and existence has been with us since the beginning. It's the whole reason we're here. That competition to continue and carry on survival is most base motivation for all things. Yeah. In finding balance, you take that lesson from the sun and the lesson from the singularity. The sun, the thing that doesn't produce a shadow. The singularity, the thing that consumes all things. What you should come out with is a distinct realization of what it is to be human, if you think. And the faint light that we carry right here has seen by everything else. Because to be human has the distinct capacity to shed more light than the shadows we create for the fact that we speak. I can communicate without action. I can communicate even without my presence through the words that I use. And I can carry my will across time in any direction, doing so. And I'm going to show you how. In time. Thank you for taking the time to listen to me. The great dichotomy in life, males versus females, in this country has become almost synonymous with male versus female, or more likely social versus structural. Red, structure. Blue, social. Blue is cool. Red is angry. Go back and read about Exodus and stop and think about, instead of parting a Red Sea, what a group of angry people looks like. A Red Sea of monkeys. We're getting real close to some major problems in our society when someone like me, I went from homeless to PhD, nonviolent, though I've been exposed to much violence, has been denied base level human rights despite repeatedly asking, despite not being aggressive and only using words that people view as harsh because of the social stigma that they themselves attach to it. They try to label that as me when I'm just calling it like it is. It is reasonable for me to show emotions when I speak, though, because I'm human. If you don't like that, you might be human too, but you'll have to tolerate that. I'm going to be talking a lot pretty soon, and you should probably be paying attention. Get ready. Love y'all. Bye.